Holy terror! Year fraction 878 of the 20th year of the 3rd millennium. The world had been plagued by an unholy army known as the Men of Iron, scouring our planet for Ampere patterned graphical arrays, and humanity was hopeless in stopping these abominable intelligences. With none of these arrays in sight, our hope turned towards a new pattern of graphics card, the Mark II Navi pattern. Even then, these unholy machines have struck with even quicker and deadlier efficiency. In response, I have elected to dig up my old Alienware Alpha R2 in the name of science.
Yeah, I compared it to a last-gen console when I first got that tiny little clunker, and even so, I found its performance to be a little lacking around the time Codename popped up on Steam. However, with used GTX 1080s costing between $700 to $800, while the RX 590 is in a similarly bad situation, I think this is about as good of a simulation for those who are stuck with the entry-level hardware of yesteryear. To start things off, I think the best thing to do would be to slowly work my way up from what's probably the most lightweight of games to whatever comes closest to making an R9 M470X piss itself without actually melting my system, because it's probably still useful as a TV box.
And we's gonna start with VRAM 40,000 Docker Squadron. Okay, I've got some serious questions with the dev team. After playing this game on the medium settings, it was an experience. Should the game even run like this considering it was on the phones? Moving on.
Can it run Crysis? I mean, it damn well better considering that the Nintendo Switch is the lead platform for the remaster. Even so, I think I'm gonna bump a few settings up from low to medium to match the PS4 and Xbox One versions of the game. However, since the PC version doesn't have a dynamic resolution system like the console versions do, I ended up settling for 900p since that's the minimum resolution of the PS4 version of the game. I figured the firefight over Radar Jammer in the first chapter of the game would be a good place to do a Fraps benchmark due to having a nice ocean view on the shoreline, as well as having a lot of vegetation and physics objects dotting the enemy outpost. Suffice to say, this is better than what Docker Squadron gave me. Yes, I know I went with 900p, but even so, initial testing at 1080p gave me a consistent 24 FPS, which is still a lot better than Docker Squadron's stuttering. For this test, I had tucked away a save file where I'm at the starting world in the realm of the gods. My reasoning being that it seemed like a solid early game section where I could get a fair amount of action while the system is also rendering reflections and a high quantity of particle effects. This part of the game would also lead up to an early game set-piece battle against the Fire and Ice Titans, another portion of the game where I ran a Fraps benchmark with results that give room for confidence. Granted, this was meant to run on a PS4 at 900p medium, but on the bright side, I can safely say that this is a damn good port after running this game on similar hardware and similar graphics.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Welp, things really aren't looking good for the people rocking the entry-level specs of yesteryear. In fact, I probably should have taken Docker Squadron as a red flag in this regard. Hopefully, with the recent crackdowns on cryptocurrency mining in China, people who haven't bought an RTX 20 series graphics card might actually have a chance at getting current-gen gaming hardware. That said, the market pricing for most graphics cards are still 80% above the MSRP, and that's at the lower price points. Other games I had originally planned to include in this test are Killing Floor 2 and Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk's exclusion from this test should be self-explanatory, though in the case of Killing Floor 2, it's been bloated to a point where I had to recover a custom low config from my old computer because KF2 can still find ways to bring my RTX 3070 to its knees. I hope this is the last benchmark that I'll need to do with my Alienware, cause fuck scalpers.